entered all the 6 doors of the palace, and no one checked them. Therefore, when they attempted to enter the 7th door and were forbidden by the doormen, who checked them with their sticks, they naturally became very angry and sorrowful. An ordinary child would cry, but because these were not ordinary children, they immediately made preparations to punish the doorman, for the doorman had committed a great offense. Even to this day, a saintly person is never checked from entering anyone's door in India. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports. 2 purports. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Brahma is describing to the Devatas what is happening as the cause for the darkness spreading everywhere in the universe. So Brahma is describing, first of all he described Vaikuntha, and he has already described that the 4 Kumaras, while wandering carefree, because they were liberated souls and they didn't have any definite desire. The description is there. My 4 sons, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana and Sanatkumara, who are born from my mind, are your predecessors. They are born much before all the demigods. Sometimes they travel throughout the material and spiritual skies without any definite desire. So then, Brahma is describing, as they travel all over the universes, they also travel in the spiritual sky. So they happen to enter the spiritual sky, and because they were freed from all material contamination, they could go there. And they also had the yogic siddhi. It requires yogic siddhi to go to specific places. Otherwise, they are restricted to the planet that they are supposed to stay. Now, normally yogic siddhi means they can travel within the universe. But exceptionally advanced yogis, like the 4 Kumaras, can even cross the coverings of the universe. So elsewhere it is explained that to cross the coverings of the universe, one has to be fully free from all material contamination, fully purified, and should be liberated soul. Only liberated soul can cross the coverings of the universe. Even among the yogis, those yogis who are not liberated, they cannot go beyond the coverings of the universe. They cannot go. So, from this description, it is very clear that the 4 Kumaras were liberated souls. And they were liberated souls who were also yogis. Because they were yogis, they could travel freely. If one is not a yogi, one cannot travel freely. So they were liberated souls. Therefore they could cross the coverings of the universe. And they could reach the Vaikuntha planet because they were yogis. Yogis and liberated souls. So then Brahma gives the elaborate description of Vaikuntha that we have been hearing in the past several verses. So, without any definite desire, Prabhupada explains, means no material desires. No material desires. So to become free from material desire is possible only if one is free from all types of material contamination. Even if there is small tinge of material contamination, there is material desire. So many times people wonder, what is this material contamination? It is nothing but material desire. Whenever it is referred to material contamination in the heart or consciousness, consciousness is completely spiritual. So how can consciousness be contaminated? It is the desire which becomes contaminated. Naturally, as spirit souls, we all have consciousness. That consciousness is the symptom of spirit. Symptom of spirit soul, consciousness. The characteristic of consciousness is desire. Consciousness means desire. So a living being cannot be without desire. Therefore, many times Prabhupada explains, if it is said one has to become desireless, it means that one has to become free from material desires. That's the meaning, desireless. Nispruhaha, many places in the Bhagavad Gita. Nispruhaha, nispruhas sarvakamebhyo, free from all kinds of material desires. So, people who don't know about devotional service or bhakti yoga, they think desirelessness means no desire. Become a stone. Become like a stone. No material desire. No activity. That is not correct. So they try to become desireless, try to become inactive, but that is never possible for a living being. Never possible. So, without any definite desire means without any material desire. So, without any material desire means there is spiritual desire. There is spiritual desire. Not spiritual desire, one desire. Spiritual desires. So, the Kumaras are traveling with a spiritual desire. At least one spiritual desire. There could be more. Because it is the characteristic of the living being to be always having desires. Always having, that's a characteristic. That is the That is the natural symptom of living. It's like this table. Can it have any desire? Material object, can it have desire? Material substance, is there anything like desire? No. So that is characteristic of spirit soul. Desire, consciousness, activity, senses, perception, thinking, feeling, willing. All these are characteristics of spirit. Living person. So if we understand this very carefully, it's not difficult to understand the supreme absolute truth, who is the supreme spirit, is also full of desires. Because desire is a characteristic of spirit. He has senses. He has thinking, feeling, willing. He has perception. He has feelings. He has intelligence. He has activities. He has qualities, spiritual qualities. See, whole understanding is completely different if you properly understand what is the spirit. So these Mayavadi philosophers, they study so much the Vedas. And after all that, the conclusion, because they are stuck up with one philosophy, absolute truth is impersonal. That's why they come to a wrong conclusion. Either living being or absolute truth, no desires at all. No senses, no activity. And to justify that, they say, see, scriptures describe absolute truth as nirguna, nirvikara, nirvishesha. But unless they hear the meaning, the explanation of all these descriptions in the scriptures from a proper source, they will not understand. They take the literal meaning. Nirguna means without qualities. Nirguna means without material qualities. Prabhupada explains. Without any material qualities. Nirakar, without any material form. So there is transcendental form, there is transcendental qualities, there is transcendental senses, transcendental activities, transcendental abode, transcendental paraphernalia. Everything is there. Urdhamulam adhashākham ashvattam prāhuravyayam. This material world, 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, is described by Krishna as an inverted reflection of the spiritual world. So in the spiritual world, unless there is variety, how can there be variety in the material world? How can there be variety in the material world? But Krishna also explains in the 15th chapter, it's a perverted reflection. Literally, if you take Urdhamulam Adhashakam, inverted reflection. Just like if you were to see inverted reflection in the mirror, if you are standing on your feet, in the mirror it will appear like you're standing on your head. Shirshasana. What is that? Shirshasana. So, it's not exactly inverted reflection. See, this also requires an acharya to explain. What is this urdhva moolam adha shakam? It's a perverted reflection. There's a difference between perverted reflection and inverted reflection. Perverted reflection is, just like, to give an example of perverted reflection, if you look in a convex mirror or a concave mirror, your face, let us say, your face will appear either very big or very small. Correct? Have you seen that? Sometimes you would have seen. Some of you would have seen at least. So like that, in this material world, even though it's a reflection of the spiritual world, it is not a proper reflection. It's a perverted reflection. So everything is topsy-turvy. There everything is of the spiritual quality in the spiritual world. Here everything is of the material quality. So material quality and spiritual quality, very clearly Krishna is distinguished in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita by distinguishing the soul from the body or spirit from matter. Very clearly Krishna has given the distinction, and in other places in the scriptures also, many places it is there. The descriptions are there. Matter and spirit, very clearly it is there. So, perverted reflection means of the material quality as opposed to spiritual quality in the spiritual world. So, Prabhupada explains, since there is variety here, and because the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world, there is variety in the spiritual world. But because this reflection is a perverted reflection, we should not think just like there is material variety here, there is material variety in the spiritual world. No. There is spiritual variety. There is spiritual variety. So, the nature of spirit, to properly understand, you have to study the scriptures under proper guidance. Otherwise, all kinds of interpretation or misinformation. Just like these Mayavadis. There's so many wrong understanding. So it is described that the Kumaras, they had desire, they were eager to see the Lord. They were eager to see the Lord in Vaikuntha. They had already seen the Lord in the heart. They had already seen the Lord in the heart. In perfect samadhi, a yogi is able to see the form of the Lord in the heart, Paramatma form, super soul. But if a yogi is not having proper knowledge about who or what is that form in the heart of the super soul, Paramatma, then their conclusion will be, oh, this is the manifestation of the impersonal Brahman, the absolute truth or God. This Paramatma feature is a manifestation of the impersonal Brahman. Similarly, they also conclude that we are not the body, we are spirit soul, we are eternal. We are spiritual by nature. So they conclude that this spiritual nature or spirit soul is also manifestation of impersonal Brahman. Now again, some places in the scriptures, there is description. Absolute truth is Brahman, we are also Brahman. And the qualities of Brahman are given, identical. Nirvikara, Nirguna, Nirvishesha, Nirvikalpa. Whether you apply that to the soul or the super soul or the impersonal Brahman, the absolute truth, same qualities. So they equalize the soul with the absolute truth, with God, with Brahman in the spiritual world. So this mistake devotees never make, because devotees understand that in this material world there is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So the variety here is material, their variety is spiritual. Here there are living beings, so many millions and billions and trillions of living beings who have material desires, material form, covering their spirit, covering the spirit, material form, material possessions. In the spiritual world, there are millions of living beings, but they are having spiritual form, they are having spiritual desires, they have spiritual activity, they have spiritual senses, their intelligence is spiritual, their identity is spiritual. Do you understand? You see how perfect, clear understanding can be there? Only when you hear from the perfect source. That's why the perfect source is described in the Bhagavad Gita and all the important scriptures also. That you have to hear in the parampara system. From a guru who is coming in parampara beginning from Krishna. This modern day followers Shankaracharya, we are also in parampara. Which parampara? Shankaracharya parampara. If you ask the question, Shankaracharya parampara, does it begin from Krishna? No. So therefore, unless one hears from the perfect source, which is also described from a guru in parampara, beginning from Krishna, one will not be able to understand all these descriptions in the scriptures. So here in the Bhagavatam, there is a direct and clear description. In some places in the scriptures, the description is not very direct. It is indirect. Now, somebody will say, why indirect description? Why not direct description? Because there are foolish people who will mistake these descriptions in the Bhagavatam to be descriptions of something material. So, first of all, before anybody touches Bhagavatam, descriptions of the personal features of the absolute truth, they should understand the impersonal feature. If there is a possibility that they'll misunderstand the personal descriptions. But we don't have that problem. As devotees who are hearing the descriptions of the personal features from the pure devotee spiritual master, we have no problem. Because when Prabhupada describes He never confuses. The description in the Bhagavatam and the description in the Vedas about material world, Vaikuntha Loka and Swarga Loka, there is no confusion. The two are completely different. Two are completely different. So Prabhupada explains that very carefully. The difference between Swarga or any upper planet where there is so much of opulence and the opulence in Vaikuntha. The variety in varieties of enjoyment available in the upper planets versus the pleasure of the inhabitants of Vaikuntha Loka. Clear distinction is given by Prabhupada. So, the Mayavada understanding is completely wrong. Completely wrong. Because they start with a wrong understanding right from the beginning of their study. They always hold on to one axiomatic truth according to them. Absolute truth is impersonal. That's the reason for all their philosophy being completely wrong. We can never understand as long as they hold on to that point. So such Mayavadis, when they come in contact with a pure devotee and are fortunate to be blessed, of course the pure devotees want to bless everyone, but are fortunate to accept the blessings of the pure devotee, then immediately they begin to realize that the absolute truth is impersonal, localized and personal. Three features of the absolute truth. And that the localized feature is a higher understanding of the absolute truth, superior knowledge. And the personal feature is the highest understanding, topmost understanding of the absolute truth. Complete understanding, perfect understanding. So that is only because of the mercy of pure devotee. And we are fortunate souls to have accepted this mercy. We are fortunate souls to have accepted this mercy. Therefore, for us it's very clear what is Brahman, what is Paramatma, what is Bhagavan. Bhagavatam begins with that, right in the beginning. Bhagavad Gita also, clearly Krishna explains the three features of the absolute truth. Last time we were discussing this, correct? I made you go through the verses, 18th chapter, beginning with 47th verse or something. I didn't complete that. Till 18.66 you study that. 18.47 to 66. What is that verse? Beginning with that verse where it describes, by worship of the Lord who is all-pervading and who is the source of all beings, one can, in performance of one's own duty, attain the highest perfection of renunciation. Something like that. By worship of the Lord who is the source of all beings. What is the verse number? 18th chapter, 47 or 48 or something like that. What is the verse number? 46. So 18.46 to 18.66, please study thoroughly. Thoroughly you should study. Then your understanding of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan becomes very, very clear. Bhagavatam right in the beginning, and directly Suta Goswami is telling, Vadanti tat tattvavidaha tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Directly he is telling there are three features. So, studying these verses of the Bhagavad Gita, 18.46 to 18.66, 21 verses, you have to nicely study. Thoroughly you have to study, particularly Prabhupada's translation and purports. The word for translation you go through very carefully. Very nicely Prabhupada explains. These three features of the Absolute Truth are explained in these verses. Again, that is very, very confidential understanding. Many people read the Bhagavad Gita, but they don't know three features of the Absolute Truth are described in those verses. They don't understand that. You see? So here, the description is being given that these Kumaras, 4 Kumaras, they entered Vaikuntha Puri. 7 doors are there to enter the personal abode of in Vaikuntha Puri there are so many devotees, millions of billions of devotees. But they were eager to see the Lord. So they entered His abode. So His abode is guarded by doormen. And these doormen, there is no need to guard because there is no threat. There are no asuras, there are no ruffians in the spiritual world. Then why these doormen? That is their seva to the Lord, to guard His door. Seva of the Lord. See, devotees render all kinds of service to the Lord. All kinds of service. So, these doormen, they're standing in 7 doors, pair of doormen. So, that description is also there in other parts of the scriptures, other places in the scriptures, the names of these doormen. The 7th door, Jaya and Vijaya. Those who do Narsimha Homa, you have some mantras, no? Chanda Prachandabhyāṁ Namaha. What are the names are there? Bala Prabalabhyāṁ Namaha. If you know Sanskrit language, the Prabalabhyāṁ means Dvitiya Vachana, 2 of them. Unto them, unto Bala and Prabala, I am offering this Gandha Pushpa. You see? So, there are names of these pairs of doormen. First door, second door, third door, fourth door, fifth, sixth. None of them stopped these Kumaras. They freely were walking. Now, how do the Kumaras look? That is very important. They look like 5-year-old small children. What is the reason? It is explained earlier, I think, somewhere Prabhupada is explained earlier. I didn't read that explanation here. That they purposely keep themselves in a form resembling small children because when they were very serious about self-realization, they realized that this sex impulse that is there in this material world, when one grows up and attains adulthood, there is naturally that sex impulse. And one has to actually overcome that sex impulse if one is serious about self-realization or spiritual life. One has to practice brahmacharya and then follow these brahmachari principles even after attaining adulthood. Continue to follow the brahmacharya principles so that one will not become a victim of this sex desire. Now, these Kumaras are very intelligent transcendentalists. They thought that this sex impulse, if it's going to bother us, and brahmacharya principles are to be followed whole life. So, using the yogic siddhi, they maintained the body of 5-year-olds. So, when the body is kept like that, there will be no sex impulse at all. Like small children, they will not have any sex impulse. No sex impulse. So, they are freely able to practice spiritual life without any botheration by this sex impulse. That means right in the beginning, they had very clear goal of life. Goal of life was self-realization. And that goal they were fixed even when they were small children. Even when they were small children, they were fixed on that goal. And very quickly they attained the siddhi. They attained the siddhi very quickly. Because by birth itself, they were not interested in entering family life, having children, wife, all this they were not interested. So, they refused their father that they will not be entering family life. So, Brahma, immediate reaction was he became angry. How can you refuse your father? And that too, he is asking them to help him, to assist him in the process of creation. But very soon Brahma realized, oh, they are very advanced spiritually. That's why they are refusing. It's not because I don't like to enter family life, don't bother me. Not like that. It's not because they don't like to enter or bother some headache, wife, children, all this. No, not with that understanding. They are mature in their understanding. They mature in their understanding. What is family life? So that's why many times Prabhupada also explains, a devotee should understand, if a devotee, somebody is serious about self-realization or more importantly, Krishna realization, then you should understand that this family life is a concession for those who want to enjoy sex life in a restricted way, regulated way. So if the goal is Krishna realization and one has practiced brahmacharya, then why enter grihastha-ashrama? No need. No need to enter grihastha-ashrama. If you're fixed in the goal and you have to pursue that, for which we have joined this movement, correct? So why enter grihastha life, grihastha-ashrama, family life? Why enter family life? So these Kumaras, Brahma realized they are refusing because actually momentarily he became upset. Brahma is very, very advanced himself. Just on the spur of the moment he became upset. But immediately I could understand that they are not refusing because they don't want botheration or they don't like to enter family. No. They are refusing because they are fixed in their goal of self-realization, for which this Naishtika Brahmacharya is very, 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 very conducive. So then he appreciated that. Very nice. So now he is describing, they are looking like 5-year-olds, but they are the oldest people in the universe, among the oldest people. And they are liberated. They have done a lot of tapasya. They studied all the Vedas. They are very, very, very mature, knowledgeable people. Correct? But the doormen, the 7th pair of doormen, Jaya Vijaya, they became upset. Why are these boys simply roaming around, trying to enter the Lord's abode? What business they have? Small children, what business they have? They just keep playing, roaming around here and there. So they stopped. Now, this verse doesn't describe they stopped. First, the description is in the 28th verse. What did the 4 Kumaras see? They saw 2 doormen, but that was not anything new for them, because they had seen already doormen, first gate up to 6th gate. They had seen the doormen. None of the doormen stopped these boys. Why? Prabhupada explains that also. It is a child's nature to enter any place without any consideration of permission, or am I allowed to go? No idea of I should not trespass some places, nothing like that. And children are not duplicitous. That means they are not somehow trying to sneak in. They have no particular reason to enter any particular room. Simply they will go. Correct? And it is also told here by Prabhupada, a child can enter any place as no one checks him. Generally children will not be stopped when they go around here and there. They generally will not stopped. So if a child is stopped, what happens? Child becomes very sorry. Why are they stopping me? And then sometimes the child also becomes angry. And out of anger or out of some kind of feeling sorry, they will start crying. Generally children will start crying. But here the Kumaras, no question of crying. They are mature adults actually. They look like small children. So they became angry. And their anger was meant to punish this doorman. Why are you stopping us? And it is also described here by Prabhupada that the first 6 doormen did not stop. Only the 7th door they were stopped. Of course, this 29th verse doesn't describe they are stopped. In the 30th verse it is described they are stopped. 29th verse it says, 28th verse it says, first of all, the doorman saw, who are these 4 small children? So they raised their eyebrows as if trying to find out, what do you want? Like that. And they were breathing heavily, discontented nostrils. Sphuṭa-nirgamābhyāṁ. Like becoming angry or becoming upset or thinking that some unnecessary disturbance, nuisance. They snorted like this. And their eyes were anyway reddish. It appeared like they were angry. Appeared like that. Their eyes were reddish anyway. With reddish eyes, discontented nostrils, arched eyebrows, they appeared somewhat agitated. Rabhasaṁ dadhānau. They appeared agitated. Why are you coming? Simply disturbing, creating nuisance. That kind of disposition they had towards the Kumaras. And the next verse will, 30th verse will describe they stopped. But the 29th verse it says, the great sages had open doors everywhere. They had no idea of ours and mine. They're completely liberated. They know everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. Nothing belongs to anybody. So with open minds they tried to enter the 7th door. As they had passed the 6 doors, which were all made of gold and diamonds. Why is it being said made of gold and diamonds, those doors? It's not like the material world. It is completely different. But the Kumaras are liberated, so they have no attraction for these gold and extraordinary opulence. They have no such desire or any such special attraction for opulence like that. No. Why? Because they are very eager to see the Supreme Lord. Very eager to see the Supreme Lord. So therefore, they were thinking why these doormen are agitated in the mind. And further it will be described, they stopped even using their stick. Stop! Where are you going? Like that. So then we will hear what happened after that. After they stopped. Any questions? Speak in the mic. Consciousness is not. They are liberated souls. It looks like they are behaving like it. Looks like it. To somebody who doesn't know or doesn't take note of their consciousness. It is explained later on that everything, Lord Himself tells that. It's all because of my will that they stopped you. In the spiritual world, Prabhupada explains that everything is there, like the material world. But everything is in relationship primarily with the Lord. In the material world, what happens? It's primarily, everything is centered around me. I'll always be interested in my father, my mother, my brother, my sister, my uncle, my aunt. Somebody else's father, somebody else's mother, where am I interested? They are also mother, they are also having nice feeling, they are also kind, they are also having some affection. But no, my father, I'm interested. Somebody else's father, where is my interest? So this selfishness in the material world centered around me, this is characteristic of material existence, ahankara. Spiritual world, if Yashoda is serving Krishna as his mother, Nanda Maharaj is serving Krishna as his father. Therefore, Yashoda and Nanda are like husband and wife. Not that they are husband and wife, and they want to enjoy, so they will have children. It's not like that. You see, in the material world, boy and girl, primarily they are attracted or they want to enjoy. Then they have children. If at all they decide to have children. Nowadays they don't even want to have children. They think we can enjoy without children. You see how selfishness is the basis of relationships? So spiritual world also relationships are there. But which is the primary relationship? With Krishna. And that actually fixes up all other relationships. So everyone is related in the spiritual world to each other also. But that is because of their primary relationship with Krishna. Because Krishna is related to everybody. So that way everybody becomes related. Nobody is without relationship with each other. Nobody. So that's why it is explained, it is all arranged by the Lord. All arranged by the Lord. It's the Lord's pastime. Leela. So it is explained by the Acharyas that when Krishna wants to fight or Narayana wants to fight, with whom will he fight? Nobody can fight in the spiritual world. Because everybody is a loving servitor. How can he fight? So he has to come to the material world. The material world also is his place only. His abode only. Right? So material world he comes. Then with whom will he fight? Material world there are people who can fight with him. Who will fight? His devotees only. He has got nothing to do with enemies. So his devotees only will fight with him. So when he wants devotees to fight with him, they should also fight very nicely. If they appear as devotees, they will not be able to fight so very nicely, very with full vigor. They will not fight. So therefore, they have to play the role of enemy. Just like Bhishma. Krishna likes Bhishma to shoot arrows and pierce his body. But how will Bhishma shoot arrows? Bhishma will not shoot arrows. He is devotee. So Bhishma has to be on the enemy side. Even on enemy side, Bhishma will not shoot arrows at Krishna. So, the Lord's Yogamaya has arranged, the Lord has arranged that Bhishma has to be on the enemy side of Arjuna. And even then, somehow there was no arrows being shot by Bhishma, very, very powerful arrows towards Arjuna. So Duryodhana accused Bhishma, you are not really fighting with full force and vigor. Otherwise, by now the 5 Pandavas would have been killed. War would have got over. You are being lenient against them, lenient with them. So Bhishma got very angry. What do you mean? And then Bhishma decided, tomorrow I am going to kill all the 5 Pandavas. And then Bhishma thought within his mind, he didn't tell anything to Duryodhana. He promised Duryodhana, I am going to kill the 5 Pandavas. Then Bhishma knew that Krishna will not allow the Pandavas to be killed. Particularly Arjuna, Krishna will not allow. So I will see how Krishna will protect Arjuna tomorrow. Because I am determined to kill him. So then Bhishma could understand the Lord will break his promise and he will have to take a weapon and come and attack me and stop me from killing Arjuna. So therefore Bhishma was shooting arrows at Arjuna in such a way that Krishna had to do something to protect Arjuna. Otherwise Arjuna would have been killed and finished. The whole battle would have been finished. So Krishna was trying to protect Arjuna by himself taking the arrows in the beginning of the fight. When it became too much, then Krishna immediately decided, I am going to finish off this Bhishma. He took one broken wheel of a chariot, that itself became like a chakra for him. He didn't even summon his Sudarshan chakra because he had taken a vow, I will not take any weapons. I will not lift any weapons. He has all his weapons with him. Even if he is not physically carrying, apparently he is not carrying, but the weapon simply by his desire, command, immediately weapon will be there. So he didn't summon his Sudarshana chakra. Took one wheel of a chariot. That way, so many chariots will be broken and elephants will be dead and all that happens. No, in the battlefield. So one broken wheel of a chariot which is lying there, he picked it up and went to attack Bhishma. Oh, you are coming to kill me. What better death I can expect in this world? Bhishma knows what is the meaning of Krishna killing somebody. It means Krishna is delivering, he is liberating, he is purifying. So most glorious death for me would be to die at your hands, my dear Lord. So he simply surrendered. And moment somebody surrenders, a Kshatriya will never attack, never kill. So Krishna refrained from killing him. So everything is finished, over. The fighting stopped. If Bhishma surrenders, what will the Kauravas do? Pandavas cannot attack because Bhishma surrendered. Kauravas, what will they do? Bhishma has surrendered. The eldest, senior most commander in the entire force, Kaurava force, so they cannot continue fighting. So they also stopped. Then after some time, it is almost evening, sunset time, just before sunset, this happened. So then sunset, khatam, that day's fighting is over. After sunset, nobody will fight. No resuming fight. Next day morning only. So these are all pastimes of the Lord. So to fight with Bhishma or Bhishma shooting arrows for the pleasure of the Lord, all this has to be arranged. And Bhishma will not shoot arrows at Krishna. He will never do that. Similarly, Jaya Vijaya, if Narayana says, let's have a fight, mock fight. Jaya Vijaya will say, okay, and then he will think, how I can hit the Lord. But Jaya Vijaya coming as Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, And Vishnu is enemy. Not just that they have got a lot of strength and power and skill to fight. Vishnu is enemy. So they will, even when they strike with so much of force that Vishnu will have a good fight. You understand? So it's the pastime of the Lord. Leela. Hari Leela. Krishna Leela. Rama Leela. Okay, we'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.